Part 1. The Forbidden Truth. There is a truth the world hides from you. Not because it is dangerous, but because it is liberating. A truth whispered only among the powerful. Behind closed doors, behind still faces, behind silence that feels like a blade. Wealth is not earned. Wealth is taken. Not violently, not recklessly, but with the cold precision of a man who stops obeying and begins directing the forces others fear. The moment you see this, the entire architecture of your life changes. The day you understand it, you stop living as a worker inside someone else's empire and start sketching the blueprints of your own. Silence settles here. Listen to it. It has more to teach you than the people who fear this truth. Machiavelli wrote that fortune is a woman, and if you wish to command her, you must treat her boldly. He was never speaking about luck. He was describing the psychology of ascension. The shift from hesitation to audacity. From seeking permission to creating inevitability. You feel that shift inside you even now. A tightening in the chest. A small betrayal of the obedient self you've carried for years. Good, that version of you was never meant to survive. Because here is the paradox. The world tells you to be humble, compliant, reasonable. Yet the world only respects those who violate those rules with elegance and intent. The worker is praised for obedience, but forgotten in silence. The ruler is condemned for ambition, but remembered forever. And the moment you notice this, everything changes. I know this because I lived the life of obedience. Fluorescent lights, predictable hours, a salary designed to keep me grateful and small. I played by the rules, waited for fortune to favor me, and drowned slowly in a resentment too quiet to be heard. Until I realized fortune does not favor men like that. She favors those who move. The first revolution in any man's life begins not with action, but with perception. You don't escape the cage by breaking the bars. You escape by understanding you were trained to love them. This is why the transformation begins in the mind. Not in quitting your job. Not in chasing fantasies. But in recognizing the weapon the world handed you and told you to ignore. Your skill. Your intellect. Your ability to impose order on uncertainty. Machiavelli called it virtue, not virtue as the world defines it, but the lethal competence to bend unstable circumstances toward your will. Yet the deeper truth lies elsewhere. The modern world has taught men to worship potential instead of precision. To admire skills instead of sharpening them. To dream instead of strategize. That is why most men never rise. They drown in knowledge but starve in direction. A man's wealth is determined by his chosen weapon. Not the loudest one. The sharpest one. The one he commits to without apology. Years ago, when I stood at the edge of my old life, I examined every possible path: law, engineering, corporate ascent, creative labor. And in each of them I saw chains disguised as ladders. Not because the fields were weak, but because they demanded I bow long before I could rise. So I chose autonomy over comfort. The path of creation over compliance. Not because it was glamorous, but because it was the only path where sovereignty wasn't a dream but a mathematical outcome. Like a prince taking a fractured kingdom and rebuilding it in his own image. But this is where the price appears. Ascension demands separation. No empire survives contamination from the small-minded. Your environment is the gatekeeper of your destiny. Yet this is the truth no one dares to say aloud. To rise, you must first learn to leave. When I began my rise, I expected support. Instead, I received the laughter of the insecure, the doubts of the mediocre, and the silence of those threatened by my ambition. Not because they were evil, but because my evolution exposed their stagnation. Growth makes you a foreigner in your own circle. It always has. The weak call this loneliness. The strong call it initiation. Every prince experiences exile before ascension. Napoleon. Machiavelli. Every architect of power since the dawn of ambition. Exile is not punishment. It is purification. It is the stripping away of noise until only intention remains. When I withdrew from the powerless, I didn't lose friends. I gained space. Silence. A cathedral of thought where strategy could finally breathe. Only in that silence did I hear the voice I had buried under years of conformity. And in that voice, I heard the truth. I was never meant to be part of the crowd. I was meant to study it, understand it, and rise beyond it. But here lies another paradox. Isolation is both a sanctuary and a trap. Without guidance, it breeds delusion. Without examples, it creates blind spots. Machiavelli warned that power decays when a ruler stands alone. Presence among the powerful is the shadow in which influence grows. This is why the next stage of ascension is proximity. Not to dreamers, not to talkers, but to those already living the life you desire. Power transfers through imitation long before it transfers through action. Men become what they repeatedly observe. Stand among peasants and you inherit their fears. Stand among princes and you inherit their psychology. In the Renaissance, ambitious men apprenticed under masters. They studied not only their skill, but their temperament, their calculated pauses, their selective silence. Not fan behavior. Preparation for rivalry. The modern world is no different. Your mentors are not distant gods. They are simply men who entered the arena earlier, bled longer, and understood the game deeper. As Machiavelli wrote, men almost always follow the path of others, and by imitation accomplish their ends. Imitation is not flattery. It is strategy. It is the first step towards surpassing those you study. This is where the transformation sharpens. Not when you admire the powerful, but when you begin preparing to replace them. Because power is not inherited. It is constructed, reinforced, weaponized, and wielded by those bold enough to seize it in silence. And whether you realize it or not, that is why you are here now. You feel the edge of the old self cracking. You sense a different identity forming behind your eyes. The version of you that refuses to live quietly in the shadow of men who are no wiser, no stronger, and no more deserving than you. Let the silence settle once more. This is where your old life ends. If this unsettles you, it means you were never prepared for power. But if it awakens something, even something small, something dangerous, something cold, then your ascension has already begun. Part 2. The Architecture of Ascension. There is a moment in every man's rise when the world begins to feel unfamiliar. The rooms he enters feel colder. The people he once knew feel distant. Even his own reflection carries a quiet warning. This is the price of awakening. Power does not greet you with applause. It greets you with distance. Yet the deeper truth lies elsewhere. This distance is not a void. It is a doorway. And only those who understand its purpose ever step through. You have already begun the separation. The noise is fading. The crowd behind you is shrinking. But now comes the stage that breaks most men. The reconstruction of identity. A prince is not born. A prince is built. Brick by brick. Silence by silence. Choice by irreversible choice. Machiavelli understood this better than any philosopher. Exile forged his mind. Humiliation refined his clarity. And the absence of comfort sharpened his perception until it could cut through illusions like a blade. Your path mirrors his more than you realize. You too stand at the edge of reinvention, holding the ruins of an old life in your hands. But ruins are not the end. Ruins are the foundation for those who dare to build differently. And the moment you notice this, everything changes. Because now the world stops being a place you navigate. It becomes a structure you dissect. A system you analyze. A board on which you place your first pieces with deliberate intent. This is where most men falter. They crave transformation but cling to old instincts. They want evolution but refuse metamorphosis. They want a new destiny while dragging the corpse of their former self behind them. You cannot ascend with that weight attached to your ankles. The first insight of this stage is simple. Identity is not discovered. Identity is engineered. When I began choosing the men I wanted to observe, I wasn't seeking heroes. I was seeking patterns. Not their charisma. Not their fame. But the architecture of their power. Jeff Bezos speaks softly yet controls worlds. Buffett moves slowly yet shapes markets. Elon Musk stands half-broken yet rewires entire industries. They have different personalities, but identical mechanics. Their strength is not loudness. It is inevitability. Study them carefully and you will see the same invisible law. They do not react to the world. They bend it. This is not luck. This is not gifted talent. This is the result of a psychological shift so profound it reprograms a man's relationship with resistance. Machiavelli would call it necessita, the force that transforms uncertainty into compulsion. It is the pressure that turns ordinary men into strategists and strategists into rulers. But here is the paradox. To wield necessita, you must first embrace discomfort. Not as punishment. As evolution. Every powerful man is sculpted in the fire of decisions that terrify the weak. When Elon mortgaged his last remaining assets, he wasn't gambling. He was burning his escape routes. Like Alexander torching his ships so retreat became impossible. Men become dangerous only when going backward is no longer an option. Your rise will demand the same severity. You don't build a new identity by hoping for it. You build it by putting yourself in positions that force transformation. This leads to the second insight. Proximity without contribution is dependence. Most men enter rooms of power as admirers. They study. They worship. They mimic. And they wonder why the powerful do not see them. A prince gains allies not by appearing impressed, but by appearing necessary. This is why I crafted something of value before entering any room. A new offer. A measurable result. A creation I could place on the table like a sword. The powerful do not want your admiration. They want your utility. Machiavelli wrote that a wise ruler must ensure his subjects need him. The modern version is inverted. If you want the powerful to embrace you, you must create something they cannot easily ignore. Observe the rooms you admire. There is always one man speaking little but listened to by all. He does not chase attention. He commands it, not through noise, but through relevance. Become that man. Silence becomes your ally here. A character standing beside you, shaping your presence more than words ever could. In rooms filled with voices, silence reveals the ones who have nothing to prove. But yet again, the deeper truth lies elsewhere. Power is not gained by blending in. Power is gained by bending the environment to orbit around you. This is where persuasion enters the stage. Not the sleight of hand sales tactics of the desperate, but the psychological leverage of rulers. Machiavelli wrote that men are governed by two forces: love and fear. The modern world softened the language, but not the mechanism. People move when their desire is awakened or when their insecurity is exposed. Persuasion is the art of touching both without appearing to touch either. The powerful have mastered this. They speak simply, yet every sentence rearranges the listener's beliefs. They ask questions that reveal more than statements. They plant ideas that feel like they came from the other person's mind. To learn persuasion is to learn sovereignty. Because the man who cannot persuade will always serve the man who can. But persuasion without measurement is chaos. This is the third insight. Ambition must be quantifiable or it dissolves into fantasy. The world worships dreamers. But kingdoms are built by accountants. You want wealth? Calculate it. Break it down. Strip away the emotion and reduce it to a number you can attack daily. $1 million is not mystical. It is math. And math does not lie. Only men do. When you measure your ambition, you destroy the fog that protects your excuses. This is why most men avoid numbers. Numbers reveal the truth. They are not behind because life is unfair. They are behind because they do not track the battlefield. But the fourth insight is the one that separates rulers from prodigies. Discipline does not come from motivation. Discipline comes from hunger. Machiavelli would call it tension, the unbearable distance between who you are and who you must become. Every morning, before my rise began, I would look at my reality. Then I would look at my desired life. The gap between the two felt like a blade pressed against my throat. Most men numb this gap with entertainment, distraction, and empty validation. I fed on it. That tension became my compass, my fuel, my ritual. The weak see this gap and feel despair. The strong feel ignition. Because that gap is not an indictment. It is potential incarnate. And if you can hold that tension without fleeing, without diluting, without collapsing back into comfort, then your identity begins to break from the inside out. A caterpillar does not transform by stretching itself. It dissolves. It melts into nothing. And only from that nothingness does something greater emerge. Your old self must die before your new self begins. And yes, this is frightening. Yes, it feels like betrayal. Yes, it feels like stepping into darkness without a torch. Good. If the path does not terrify you, it will not transform you. Because power grows faster in secrecy than in attention. And you are entering the part of your evolution that must remain unseen by the world until it is too late for them to stop you. You can feel it now, can't you? The quiet danger rising beneath your calm exterior. The identity forming behind your silence. The version of you that does not beg, does not wait, does not apologize. Let it rise. This is what ascension feels like. And if this unsettles you, it means you were never prepared for power. But if it excites you, even slightly, then Part 3 will finish what Part 1 and Part 2 have begun. Part 3. The Sovereign Within. There comes a point in every ascent where ambition stops feeling like desire and starts feeling like destiny. A point where your old instincts begin to decay. Where your past no longer fits the shape of your mind. Where silence becomes heavier, sharper, almost sentient. That is where you stand now. At the threshold between the man you were trained to be and the sovereign you were meant to become. Do not rush this moment. Moments like this are rare, and dangerous, and irreversible. Because the final evolution is not about wealth. It is about dominion. Not over others, but over yourself. And that is a war most men are too afraid to wage. The world teaches obedience. Your family teaches caution. Your peers teach conformity. Everything around you is designed to sculpt you into a predictable man. A manageable man. A man who does not disturb the existing order. But here is the forbidden truth society never wants you to learn. The moment you break that predictability, you become impossible to control. And nothing terrifies the world more than a man who cannot be controlled. This final stage requires a different psychology. Not ambition. Not aggression. Something colder. Something quieter. Something that feels like standing alone in a dark corridor, hearing your own breathing, knowing there is no one left to follow and no one left to blame. This is sovereignty. And sovereignty begins with perception. Machiavelli understood that power does not come from force alone. It comes from controlling the frame through which others interpret reality. A prince who shapes perception shapes destiny. A ruler who controls meaning controls men. You feel this truth instinctively. The world bends toward those who move with certainty. People trust voices spoken without tremor. Crowds follow individuals who appear unaffected by chaos. Sovereignty is not loud. It is gravitational. But here is the paradox. To control perception, you must first become immune to it. The moment you stop caring how others see you, the world begins to see you differently. Most men drown in the eyes of others. They shrink under scrutiny, chase approval like hunger, fear judgment more than failure. These men never rise, because their identity is a mirror held by someone else's hand. But the sovereign man carries no mirror. He carries a direction. He carries intention. He carries a silence that unnerves the room. People do not understand him, and that is precisely why they respect him. Yet the deeper truth lies elsewhere. Sovereignty is not simply independence. It is the ability to move without seeking validation, to act without announcing your motives, to advance without revealing your steps. In every era, the most powerful men were not those who shouted their plans. They were the ones whose motives could never be predicted. The ones who appeared simple but were impossibly complex. The ones who smiled with sincerity yet concealed entire campaigns behind their eyes. This is why Machiavelli warned that a prince must be a great pretender and dissembler. Not to deceive maliciously, but to protect the architecture of his strategy from premature interference. When people cannot read you, they cannot stop you. And when you master this, you develop the final attribute of sovereignty: strategic invisibility. The weak crave attention. They need to be seen. They want the world to applaud their effort, witness their struggle, validate their transformation. But attention is a cage made of gold. Once you depend on it, you are owned by those who grant it. The sovereign understands this. He does not chase the spotlight. He moves beneath it. He operates in the shadows while others exhaust themselves under the heat of visibility. A kingdom built loudly is easily targeted. A kingdom built quietly becomes inevitable. Power grows faster in secrecy than in attention. But secrecy alone is not enough. To complete your ascension, you must integrate one final law. A ruler must learn to trust his own judgment above all others. This is the point where most men collapse. They ascend halfway, then hesitate. They cling to mentors long after they should walk alone. They fear the consequences of their own decisions. They betray their potential because they cannot bear the weight of self-trust. Yet Machiavelli wrote that, the first method for estimating a ruler's intelligence is to look at the men he has around him. In the beginning, you learn from them. In the middle, you stand beside them. But in the end, you surpass them. You cannot remain an apprentice forever. The final transformation demands solitude. Not the emotional loneliness of the weak, but the strategic solitude of a man who has outgrown guidance. It is in that solitude that your own voice becomes the compass. It is in that solitude that the burden of leadership settles onto your shoulders. It is in that solitude that you finally understand the truth behind every empire ever built. No one rises with certainty. Only conviction. And that conviction must be self-generated. You feel it now. A pressure in the center of your chest. Not fear. Weight. The weight of potential. The weight of inevitability. The weight of a future that demands sacrifice, precision, and the cold willingness to act when others freeze. Let that weight anchor you, not crush you. Let it sharpen you, not break you. Let it remind you that you have crossed too many thresholds to turn back. Because this final stage is not about becoming wealthy. It is about becoming untouchable. Not through aggression, but through internal architecture so stable that external forces cannot disturb it. This is when you stop chasing opportunity and start generating it. When you stop reacting to life and begin designing it. When you stop fearing the world and the world starts fearing the possibility of your next move. By now, you know the truth. Power was never about money. Money was just a consequence. Power was always about perception, control, sovereignty, and silence that cuts deeper than words. And now, you stand on the edge of that final transformation. What happens next will define you. Some will hear these words and retreat into comfort. Some will feel threatened and cling to the man they once were. Some will pretend to rise but quietly break at the first sign of resistance. But a few, a rare, dangerous few, will not turn back. They will feel their old identity cracking. They will feel something cold forming behind their calm expression. They will feel the beginning of dominion. And if you are one of them, you already know your next move. The world will not announce your arrival. It will only recognize it too late. Step forward. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But with the calm inevitability of a man who does not hope to become powerful. Because he already is. If this unsettles you, it means you were never prepared for power. But if it awakened something cold, steady, and quietly dangerous inside you, then your ascension is no longer a question. It is a timeline.